last episode, we checked out the AC100 Steel, Teal, and Cyan Spartans, the original giveaway products for the launch of Halo Mega. But now we're going back even further to the dawn of Halo Mega, the very first prototypes of the line. And to do that, I have scoured the entire internet for as many of these pre-release production prototype images as possible. When I was young, I would have dreamed about having access to an asset dump like this. Like, this is so fun. So eventually this will all make its way onto our physical archive and our digital archive, but right now we're just compiling everything together. And if you'd like to support my content, please consider becoming a channel member. You get access to exclusive videos, behind the scenes content, and exclusive stickers. So I've tried to section this off into as many digestible pieces as possible, and we're gonna start where we've already looked at before, the original Halo Wars advertisement. Now, this came out in the Halo Wars Primer strategy guide. It was to advertise the new line and had a ton of fun prototypes. You can check out our specific video just for that image. To run it down quickly, we've got a pre-release Halo 3 Master Chief, as well as these really cool looking EVA type Spartans. It's just so cool to see imagery like this. The original Hawk had this massive turret that I think is from one of the Halo universe or the Dragon's universe line. And then this Banshee, I saw some pretty harsh comments about this Banshee online. People did not take very favorably to it. But yeah, it's really fun. And it's also really fun to note that in the background of this image are these grunts, and they are literally ripped from a McFarlane set, the original Halo Wars Collection McFarlane. So that's a weird collaboration you never thought you'd see. Something we need to understand about this is the design process takes a long time for any toys, and you can see the timeline is kind of interesting, right? The original line launched in fall of 2009. Now, Halo Wars launched February 2009, so that makes sense that in the Halo Wars strategy guide, there would be pre-release prototypes. Maybe that's all they could cobble together for, I mean, this wouldn't have been printed in February of 2009. This would have been printed months and months earlier, probably. So that was where they were up to with the prototypes at that point, you would assume. Now, the interesting thing is that Halo 3 launches September 2007. So the line would have probably been in development for a couple of years before it was even announced to the public. And you've got a lot of really cool news clippings here advertising the new line. So Mega Brands and Microsoft Game Studios enter their global licensing partnership for Halo Wars. Halo Wars hits blocks, build your own war with licensed Halo Wars Mega Bloks. So it was all centered around Halo Wars, but there is evidence out there that the original line was meant to be a Halo 3 line. I'll go over some packaging that kind of suggests that later on in this video. If you think about it, like, yeah, okay, these clippings are from like February 2009, August 2009, February 2009. So so February 3rd, 2 articles. So clearly the announcement came live on February 3rd. Now, that's just before Halo Wars launches. Pretty cool timing, honestly, to build hype for the toy line alongside the new game. When Mega are developing a toy line for 2 years before that, they're not going to have the Halo Wars assets. They're going to be under lock and key for a long time, maybe a couple of years prior to the Halo Wars line actually, or the Halo Wars line launching with the Halo Wars game. Mega had Halo 3 assets to experiment with the toys, to make a pitch to Microsoft. Hence, these original Halo 3 prototype Master Chiefs and I guess kind of EVAs. Kind of makes sense that these are like pre-release Halo 3 test runs that eventually become Halo Wars sets, because we never got a old articulation Master Chief. Though one of my friends, Ryan, did point something interesting out. The Mark 6 chest from Halo 3 was actually made in Mega form in old articulation. Obviously, it's different from the prototype mold as far as I'm aware, but it's part of the Spartan security figures. So maybe some of that design mold was left over and eventually became the security Spartan. So let's get on to the really exciting meat of it and what you've probably been excited for in this thumbnail. So this is the work of Martin Pierre. And this is actually on his WordPress. You can check that out right now. You can see right down here, Halo Wars ZBrush Sculpt toy figurines. So one would assume these were the prototypes for the original line. And boy, let's break them down, because there's some crazy things in here. This is really amazing that these have been found by quite a few members of the community now, and big shout out to Martin for publishing these. It's a huge bridge in our understanding of how the original line was designed, and as you can see, it's all Halo 3 era, more or less. These Halo 3 combat form elites, just beautiful. Maybe someone will pull me up on the fact that these are actually Halo Wars elites in the comments. You're welcome to. But that is a Halo 3 Master Chief if I've ever seen one. Beautiful, beautiful. So we got actually quite a few images. I've isolated them all. So we're gonna look at every single part of these as best we can. So there's 4 figures, right? And you can see all 4 of the figures here, the Elite, Spartan, and then this kind of EVA and a Flame Marine. The EVA has really interesting shoulders. I know I've seen those dotty kind of shoulders before, so drop a comment where they're from. I couldn't quite figure it out myself. It looks like it's got a really nice painted chest. I mean, these are all going to be hand-painted prototypes, as it usually would be with that kind of stage of the design process. If you want to check out proper hand-painted prototypes, look no further than my interview with Kevin as we look at the Halo TV show assets, the hand-painted prototypes from that show. These I could stare at all day long. They are absolutely beautiful. The Flame Marine is interesting to me because the design of the flamethrower really didn't change much. When it says ZBrush sculpt, I imagine that ZBrush is the software, but look at that, man. Removable helmets at the old articulation stage? Like, what are we talking about here? That's crazy. So let's have a look one by one, right? We've got our Spartan, our Master Chief. Love the speckling that's already on this. It might be a bit to do with the lighting or the way it's produced, but it's got a gorgeous speckle to it. Some lights on the helmet and a load of nice details. The neck looks a little too long for my liking, but everything is just beautiful. I would give a lot to own one of these. I truly would. We've got our EVA with some... I'm not sure how I feel about this this chest design, but really nice and lovely brown detailings on the inner thighs, the pelvis, the arms, really nice. I guess that might be silver with black trims. Of course, the old articulation had a lot of really excellent paint apps. I mean, look no further than maybe this guy from the Blue Series Falcon, and really great washes as well. So it's cool that they had the groundwork. And, you know, when a toy company pitches a new toy line to a manufacturer or to the IP, to the higher-ups, even if Mega was pitching to Mattel, though back then it would have just been Mega standalone, they would have produced a sales pitch for Microsoft, for Mega, right, for Halo. And every time that they create a new toy line, whether it be for Halo 5 or Halo Wars 2 or Halo Infinite, they'll pitch it to Halo in an official presentation a lot of the time. I know that they did an official presentation for Project Hagar, the video game. Who knows? Maybe these are the original sculpted figures for the pitch. That Elite is so, oh man, just like a little bit stubby in comparison. Because Elites are very slender in the games, right? Like this is a more accurate representation, and those sort of feet with, look at all those notched details on the boots. You don't get anything close to that on the final build. But then again, you got to understand with prototypes, like, for example, if Mega makes a new Pelican, they'll design a prototype that's twice the size and completely well over their budget, but they'll create the prototype, then they'll slim it down based on the price point that they're aiming for. So like, an original prototype is going to be a little more detailed than the final figure, but we're going to compare them to the final figures in a minute. There's the Chief from 2 different angles. Of course, if you were making a sales pitch for the toy line, you would make a Chief, and it was surprising to me that we never got a Master Chief in the original line. I think the first appearance, not canonically, but in my eyes, of a Master Chief in the line was the Battlescape 2. We've got 3 of the Flame Marine. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Yeah, you can see there the tube is connected. I imagine that tube probably existed in the toy line already. That would have just been a part that they had kicking around, but the flamethrower would have definitely been a brand new model. Look at my boy. Oh my goodness. I need that in my life, dude. If Mega just made, like if Mattel Creations wanted to print money, they'd just release this as like a one-off, like prototype in like a glass case, and like, you know, you just have some fun with it. Let me know down below. I want the comments filled with all the details that I've missed. Of course, I've got a lot to cover today, but here's our flame marine compared to regular flame marine. Definitely the tube is interesting because the original tube was this like this gridded kind of one, but then this kind of tube came in for the new articulation flame marine. Kind of interesting how that works. We've got these two side by side. Obviously, this became a generic Halo Wars Spartan. Again, it's like there are two options in my mind for whether or not this was a Halo 3 designed line to begin with. The first option is that Halo Wars was in development, but they didn't have the assets, so they created Halo 3 test molds and then transitioned to Halo Wars as they were planning to. Or the design process and licensor approvals and things took so long that they were then going into Halo Wars and they transitioned. That's crazy. That goes so hard. The wonderful work of Martin Pierre. We pull ourselves out now and we go into this beautiful image. Back in the day on Mega Unboxed, RIP Mega Unboxed, the old Mega forum, Kevin, who worked at Mega, shared some images of prototypes. This was one of them, and you don't get much from this image because these are quite close to final release. The Hawk is clearly like, that's clearly painted green. I think this Hornet's close to final release. You can see some of that marbling on the printed bricks. This is so close to release, but these are probably, like, you can't tell, they're probably quite close. This Warthog is also pretty dang close, just lacking some of the details. There are plenty more prototypes that were shared. Feast your eyes on these beautiful vehicles. This Warthog is crazy. So this is clearly one of the original prototypes, and it confirms that this Master Chief figure, because some could argue that maybe this was a future prototype of a future sculpt, but no. This being with this original Warthog, for all intents and purposes, confirms it for me that this is the definitive pre-release figure. Interesting, at this angle we can see this like really jagged effect on the, I don't really know what that is. It's like a diamondy effect. Very strange. Maybe some part of the camo. Also the legs. It's missing the pelvis piece, the hip piece. Maybe it snapped. I mean, those do snap over time. So I think, from what I understand, and it's really hard to see these days, obviously Mega Unboxed is gone, and it's pretty disgraceful that all those assets are lost. The only reason we have these is because other people shared them around and saved them. But it's to my understanding that they were newer pictures because they were brand new images. They were high quality images compared to, like, these are high quality images, right? These are part of someone's portfolio, but a lot of old assets for Mega Bloks are not high quality. So I think these were photographed out of the vaults, kind of new. So it would make sense that like this had snapped and been lost over time. Also, if this still exists, please send it to me. Please, I'll take good care of it. This Warthog is wild. I guess it originally had a firing cannon. They would have taken inspiration from a lot of their military lines that they'd had in the day, and also their Mega Dragons universe. A lot of pieces were reused between the lines, and I would love to go over what was reused in the future. The main thing that stands out to me about this design is these side panels being used as, I guess, side panels. There are side panels, right? Like here on the sides. It's interesting to see that they're in the Warthog. It's also interesting to see this is super janky. I can't even begin. Eventually this would be one piece. This is clearly cobbled together lots of different pieces. There's a little more detail going on under there. Not as much has changed about this. Again, another example of these side panels. It's got that EVA type thing in the turret, but it's pretty much piece for piece. It's the same, and I build these all the time. This is crazy. This Hornet is similar in some ways and not in others. These pieces have been used in plenty of builds after this. This turret, crazy. If you know anything that this was originally used in, please do let me know. This whole, oh, there's so much going on here. Even like these pieces eventually jutted out way more, but they kept these this side panel design a little bit. I guess there's side panels on either side now instead of the connectors going down. These turbines are different. there's a lot. I get that fin's the same. We're going to compare them side by side in a minute. The Banshee, also crazy. I love this thing so much. I love this piece. This cockpit piece is delicious. I love it. They look like they're printed. They're probably not. A lot of the time they'd just be like transfer stickers for original designs or hand painted. That might be hand painted, to be fair. So much is going on differently. And then the Scorpion. At first glance, I thought this was one of the micro builds, but then again, you can see that Halo 3 Chief in there, which is really cool. Really nice single piece for this panel lifting up. Original use of this piece. This eventually was used in the Scorpion and then the original Pelican. This is new. They kept these. These have been designed and stored. Wow, let's compare them side by side, shall we? Because there's a lot going on there. Look at all these. Right, so Scorpion, a lot different, honestly. Again, pause the screen and see what you think. This was a little more jagged. Maybe feedback from Bungie as they were developing the game. I mean, there might have been a feedback cycle of them using Halo 3 assets and then Bungie coming back and saying, no, this is more what it's going to look like in Halo Wars, and them adjusting. I gotta say, I love the prototypes more than the final builds. But again, budget will have come in. I mean, this Warthog's better, right? The final build Warthog, I think, is supreme. It's got some really nice pieces. Obviously, the stickers bring it together, but they smoothed off a lot of edges really nicely with that Warthog. We're going to move into this little gold mine here. This is from actionfigure.com, a website that has not existed for a long time. And it's really fascinating because this image of this Spartan has floated around the internet for a long time. Nobody knew whether or not it was a prototype or whether or not it was just it was just anything. It could have been anything. Nobody could confirm whether or not it was a prototype. And this was long before we had all these other, pre-release images to go off of. So nobody knew. And then suddenly, out of nowhere, I found the two. I don't want to give myself credit because it was someone else's YouTube video, but I found it. I found a YouTube video that went over the original actionfigure.com because we tried with the Internet Archive to recover actionfigure.com. It was all lost. These original images are just on like a 15-year-old YouTube video, and that creator will have had no idea that they were, they impacted the archiving effort 15, 16 years later. It's just an incredible turn of events. So shout out after all these years to LEGO News and Views, Halo Wars Mega Bloks, and they even confirmed that it's coming out in June, July 2009. So that's the original line, and we've got the sort of the mystery of this Spartan finally answered because actionfigure.com is so long gone. Now we'll look at these prototypes. The only main difference between these and the final release are the colors, right? Because these are hand-painted, they're clearly pre-production in some ways, but you may have already noticed, that's the weirdest thing, the translucent blue beam rifles. For whatever reason, the beam rifles are translucent blue in these images. I don't know why. Maybe it just shows that the mold was just clean off the pre-production, pre-release conveyor belt, I guess. It's really a nod to times gone by because companies just don't do this anymore. They simply don't release prototype images like this at all these days. They just release the final product, which is a shame to me. Again, the only real difference is the colors. Maybe this Banshee is the biggest noticeable difference, but maybe it's something to do with the coloration of the photo. Maybe it just wasn't up to scratch. The turret on this Hawk, again, is this weird Gatling gun that you do actually get as well in the Hornet. It's just a different color. So interesting that they swapped that out last minute for the double machine gun. There's our three Spartans side by side. The original ZBrush sculpt, then this newer one that I just showed, and the final one, I think that's the Halo Fest blind bag figure. I need it. Right, let's compare them to their final production. Pretty much the same. Again, the Banshee is just a weird coloration in this. The hand-painted ones, they've not got any of their printed decals, any of their... Well, this one seems to have some of the marbling, but a lot of the details are missing, but they are pretty much piece for piece to the final design. I think these are pretty much licensor approval, ready to go, but still just hand-painted because they needed to do a press release and wanted to start gaining some hype, maybe some investor interest. One of the articles above confirms that once Halo Wars announced their team up with Mega's stock price doubled overnight. So that's pretty cool. You can see the difference between hand-painted and final production. particularly like, yeah, you know, this turret's black compared to this grey, and this grey is clearly the same pot of paint between the two. And we're going to go on to this Broody Monkey Boy. Now, the origins of this, we don't really know. We're trying to figure it out. Dylan, Mega Construx News, helped piece together the fact that someone confirmed in 2016 that this was a Bloks forum post. So it goes back. I thought originally it was shared by Kevin, again on the Mega Unboxed forum, but no, this goes back to the Bloks forum, which is really old. It's a shame we don't have access to a lot of that Bloks forum now, but it's cool to see. And I know that this is not the 2009 release, but I included it because it is pre-release, and you can see that this is 3D printed by the harsh edges. Like, this is clearly just a 3D printer, and 3D printers did exist back then, just not anywhere near to the same scope as they do now. This almost looks hand carved. Some original prototypes, I saw a video the other day, like original Mattel Hot Wheels prototypes were hand carved. Again, piece for piece, I think exactly the same, but this Brute, man, I love it so much. The final Brute was good. I do like my final Brute, but oh man, I love this thing. It's a proper gorilla, right? And it looks like Halo 2, right? I think this is based off Halo 2, right? Original janky polygon Halo 2. You can see a few different angles. So we don't know the origin of this. We just know, oh, it's got the belt. It doesn't have a peg hole. I imagine a lot of these didn't originally have peg holes until they adapted the weapon system to it. You might find that like these, because you can see these are not as harsh, because these are probably pieces from Mega's boxes. These are pieces that have existed in Mega's library already. But then you can see when it's the unique pieces that have been made for this set, that debuted in this set, they're harsher, right? Like this whole front is gonna be one of those pieces, but then these will just be standard Mega Bloks pieces, and they'll all be cobbled together and spray painted. Job's a good one. Wow, look at the layering on that. Really cool. Comparative to the final design, it's piece for piece, basically the exact same. But man, I love this Brute. I'm sorry, I just love it so much. We're going into the final part of this beautiful journey today, and I got a really cool surprise at the end. The pre-release Halo Wars Firebase. You know, there was a Firebase, which I'll be going into extensive detail in the future, but this is a Firebase, a supply pad that has existed on the internet for a long time, and the fact that it's got the Halo 3 Chief overlooking it looks like it was meant to be just for Halo originally. Halo, the Authentic Collector's Series, that's probably the only logo that we have like that. It's detailed, right? Like, it's got a lot of the specs. It says set number 9, which is interesting because, you know, the original sets, if you didn't know, you can actually see in the box art for this turret, they were numbered. So the original 6 sets were numbered 1 to 6. Set number 1 being the UNSC turret, I think aerial ambush being number 6. So it's funny to see this being labeled as set number 9. Whether or not the line was going to be a little bit bigger than 6 sets at the beginning, this was going to be the centerpiece and they didn't want to invest because this is quite a big build. Maybe it was replaced with the Pelican eventually, but it's really cool to see this Halo 3 packaging design, which again leans into the idea that this might be Halo 3. There's no higher resolution images that I can find online of this. It's so beautiful. I don't know if it matches, and maybe a Halo Wars nut in the comments can let me know. I thought the supply pads were square, but maybe not. Just amazing to see. And these are some other pre-release products that I wanted to show off because, again, you know, they're before the line launched. You can see, and this is a theme throughout all these original mock-ups, they were real-life toy photography, and they had a little bit more of a detailed breakdown of schematics of all the things included in the set. You can see the Hawk, Banshee, and then this will be Grunt, Elite, Spartans, and the turret. So you can see that they all had a breakdown on the packaging. All of these have the Jerome Halo Wars aesthetic, the design, but this is called UNSC Hawk versus Covenant Banshee, which makes sense, but it was originally rebranded, or was eventually rebranded into Aerial Ambush, set number 6, set number 4, and set, that doesn't actually say, and doesn't have a confirmed piece count yet, but yeah, you can see UNSC Warthog and Hornet. For some reason, that's not UNSC Hornet, but they're the original prototypes, and you can see they're literally just placeholder assets, and I guess there was only 1 Grunt back then instead of 3, really cool. I also included this, the original UNSC buildable Spartan, had Master Chief on it, which again makes it seem like it was originally a Halo 3 line. My original diagnosis of the situation, that it was originally a Halo Wars line, but they only had access to Halo 3 assets when they were designing it, then they transitioned to Halo 3. But this one piece here, I mean, this kind of leans into it, but not as much. But this one piece, for more than anything to me, makes me feel like they were going for that originally. The weird thing is, the Jerome, it's still kind of the Jerome helmet, maybe. There's not many more indications that it is Master Chief. And it still has the shotgun, but the fact that it says Master Chief, the fact that it's a different product code, it also didn't have this display backing yet. This says set number 11, this doesn't say anything. But this, again, did they only have access to Halo 3 assets? And then we also, you know, I included this Halo Pelican because it has an original Halo Wars Spartans and Marines. So maybe this was originally designed for the line. I'll compare this to the actual Pelican that came out when I do a full prototype comparison video. We're currently compiling, we have hundreds of prototypes, and I'm trying to section them off into episodes that make sense, because you don't want to listen to me for 2 hours. The last thing I'm going to share with you today is something very special. These are the original mail order Spartans. If you want the quick rundown, the steel was a giveaway in England, the cyan was a giveaway everywhere, and the teal Spartan was a mail order giveaway. You had to sign up, and if you won, you got sent this. Of the 9,900 of these, 100 were AC100s. Now, someone reached out to me in Canada and has a pre-release sample of the AC100, which is crazy. And his story checks out. He has 26 and 33, and one of these, because we have a database cataloging all the known copies of the AC100, I think there's like 15 that we know to exist, because a lot will have been thrown away, or just obviously not reported on. He owns, I think it's 33, is also owned by someone else, so the fact that he owns it checks out. And yeah, so a lot of my items come directly from the warehouse before they moved to Mexico. Those two AC Spartans were bought the last year before they closed. I've asked a friend who worked there if they have them in the archive, some missing items available, and found these ones and some others more common, old sets, difficult to find. These are from the factory, really cool to see, and really amazing that this guy reached out to me. Play experience sample. So this is the dawn of Halo Mega Bloks, when the line hadn't even launched yet, and they were sending you know, experience samples, maybe to Microsoft, maybe to Bungie, maybe to you know, maybe this was out of the factory into the warehouse, out of the factory into a display for Toys R Us. Like you know, Mega would always host people like Toys R Us, investors or stores, into their office to showcase the new line. Maybe they invited Toys R Us in and showcased the new line. These were on display. For whatever reason, these are original play experience samples. And I know for a fact this is the first time anyone who is watching this video has ever seen these before. So that's really exciting. So that is a mammoth look at the original pre-production prototype run of Halo Mega. The dawn of Halo Mega, before it even began. And after this, we're going to be cutting straight into the rarest sets, the lines year by year. We're developing a definitive archive for all of this information, and the only thing you can really do to support is subscribe, and if you want, become a channel member. It's as low as $5 a month, and it really just helps me be able to continue this work, because I'm turning 30. I'm turning 31. Shout out to you all. Thank you so much for tuning in. Let me know what you're excited about, or what I've missed, or what you've noticed in the comments down below. And stay awesome, stay safe. Domain, signing out. See you next time on the archive.